Welcome to the Nausea River podcast. I'm Theo Morgan, and good lord, I found another way to revisit last year's Evening of Dark Arts in Providence, just in time for the next one to kick ass. But it's a concert that changed me for the better. The first concert in a while where I wasn't extremely drunk or trying to get laid. I think the last one before that was Boston Calling in 2014. The imperative was to survive a challenging week and enjoy the music, enjoy the black metal, since that was the theme last year. Enjoy some Obsidian tongue. Anyways, I'm Theo. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Brendan, and I play in a band called Obsidian Tongue.
Neat. Meet Brendan Hayter of Obsidian Tongue, a vaguely familiar name depending on your tastes, commitment to metal lore, and of course, what episodes you've listened to. He's gotten name dropped here in the past, which makes him Nausea River royalty. So, I'm sorry for the short intro. Next episode is going to need way more context, I promise. I hope you enjoy. So, I've been aware of you for a bit, but how would you describe the origin of Obsidian Tongue?
The origin, common enough. It was just a solo project that I wanted to do. It was just a one-man thing. At the time, I was much more invested in playing like progressive rock kind of stuff, like prog, psych, that kind of thing. And but I kind of got more and more obsessed with black metal, and also, I guess I was just experiencing more and more of certain kinds of, feelings that kind of belonged, I think, in black metal. I needed an outlet for certain things, and black metal became pretty perfect for that. And so I wrote, like an album's worth of material, and then at that point, it was like, okay, this is, I should probably make this like an actual band with like a name and put something online and take it from there. So,
Cool.
yeah,
What year did Obsidian Tongue start?
2009 technically.
Okay. And uh, I've seen you live, so it's not necessarily a solo project anymore.
No,
When were
definitely not
people,
anymore.
who else is in the band and when were they added?
Okay. Ray is the drummer of the band, and he's been the drummer since 2016. And he replaced the original drummer Greg, who was in the band from 2009 to 2016. And we now have, um, we just made him a full-time bass player, but we had a live bass player, Brian, who started playing with us in 2023.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, so it's just the three of us now.
And you do guitar and vocals?
Yep.
Yep.
So it's always been a two-piece up until the most recent outing, like post-COVID
Mm-hmm.
live. Then we added bass.
Yeah, so you had a pretty long break, didn't you?
Yeah, a good break from playing live. Yeah, a while, probably too long.
Yeah, I agree because like my own concert going break was very long, but one of the first bands I saw live post that was actually you guys.
Oh, really?
'Cause I heard of that Evening of Dark Arts thing, and I'm like, I've heard of Obsidian Tongue. I do like Fall of Roros.
Mm,
Perfect.
excellent. Okay, so yeah, you were at the Providence show.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh, yeah.
So in terms of post-COVID shows, what other ones have you done?
Um, Still only been a few now that I think about it. So our first one back was at O'Brien's, and I'm sure you've been there.
Yep, wonderful place.
Yeah.
Sorry, this guy's being annoying.
No, that's okay. I love dogs. He can he
Yeah,
can he can be as part of this as much as he wants.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, so we did O'Brien's and Gino's in Portland. It was like
Hmm.
a weekend thing, two consecutive shows, and then we did Biddeford, Maine, in I think January or February of last year, and then we did the Providence show, and we played with Esoteric the day after that, I think, in Portland again, and then we also played another Geno show opening for Locrian. I don't know if you know them, but
I do know them.
yeah, they're a great band, really unique. So yeah, I guess the Locrian show was the last one, which was in July, and we managed to get the soundboard recording for the whole set, so we mixed it and got it mastered, and we made a little live EP that we
Oh,
got on Bandcamp.
nice.
We're pretty happy with it.
That's pretty. That's pretty great. Yeah. So you're able to stay not completely in Maine, but you're able to do quite a bit there
To an extent,
to an
yeah.
extent.
I mean, we, yeah. I mean, traveling is much more important, but it's really great. This goes from all of New England, but especially in Maine now in recent years. It's really great to have a home base that's really worth going out and playing.
Mhm.
Um, you know, you know, in moderation still, because if you kind of sort of just play out all the time, you kind of sort of get stuck in that, you know, and so we'd much rather focus on kind of quality over quantity. So yeah, we do really like playing in Maine because the scene is really developed there. But I
Mhm.
think we have, as like we kind of got our footing as a band, forever ago, like in Mass, playing Ralph's and O'Brien's and various other places. But you know, all the good stuff.
Yeah. What do you say turnout is like for a show in Maine? Like if you could put a number on it.
Good question. So it's kind of funny. There's been a boom of attendance, I think, like since post-COVID. Like maybe there's just like new influx of people that are really into black metal that live there or something. I'm not sure, but I guess like an average of like 100 probably. I mean, like sometimes it can be lower, but most of the ones that we've done recently, I think they're maybe around 100, maybe a little less.
Yeah, I was gonna say like whenever I hear about Maine metal, it does seem to be very black metal heavy. And if you think about it, it's kind of like our Scandinavia, if like New England Scandinavia.
Hmm.
Yeah.
North northernmost, yes.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, yeah. I don't know why that is. And I do know of some death metal and thrash metal and stuff, but I think I don't know. I'm not sure why black metal is taking prevalence, but it kind of has.
Do you ever get inspired by the nature in your state?
Um, in general, yeah. Kind of, sort of. I mean, we don't like we're not trying to make nature music, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's a little more. We're drawing totally different kind of imagery.
Hmm.
Um,
It's just that, it's something that you can't really decouple from black metal.
that's kind of the thing, and that's kind of like a longer dialogue that is part of pretty interesting. That I think we as a band we end up talking about kind of often, and we um, read reviews or like write ups about other bands, and yeah, it's kind of sort of more than other subgenres. It's very like this band channels the landscape of their home state.
Hmm.
It's like that with, and like it's not even just America. It's like all across the world. People are like, oh, this band sounds like their location, and it's like sometimes I think they're wrong, for a lot of times, but there are times where it does actually ring true. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So when you think it's wrong, are there any egregious examples you can think of?
I don't remember the band's names, but I think I ended up listening to like a handful of bands from black metal bands from Brazil, and everyone said like, "Oh, this like channels like the humid rainforests of Brazil," and it's like, dude, like that's like borderline offensive. I feel like you can't listen to like Brazilian black metal without thinking it sounds like a rainforest. It's like they don't just live in the rainforest, dude.
Yeah, and
But
like it's gonna like 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be like a band from Sao Paulo or Rio, and they're nowhere near the rainforest. It's a mountainous coast.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's kind of interesting, but it's like mostly I mean, it's not like we don't mind if people think we sound like New England because uh, New England is pretty cool looking. Winter is definitely the primary thing for me, and you kind of sort of get winter everywhere, but not everywhere, but but it's really pronounced and strong in New England, and that's what I love about the area. And I don't think I could move south of here if anywhere. If anything, I would only be happy moving further north, like Canada or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, winter. I don't know, just winter in general. That's my big like natural world inspiration.
Yeah, and I sometimes try to think of like what does summery metal even sound like? But it's an interesting thought experiment because like
Hmm.
summer is also very oppressive, especially in parts of the US, and that's not going to ring true for a lot of Europe. Although I do
Yeah,
hear about the heat waves, so not to be insensitive to anyone.
right, right.
Yeah. They're familiar with the band Cobalt, the
Yeah,
black metal band from Colorado. Yeah, when I think they kind of make me think of summer. Like,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
think it's
No.
probably because they're from like from like the Rockies, and all my friends in Colorado say that the summers are brutal there. Like you
Hmm.
wouldn't think so, but it's dry and sunny, and that's still gonna give you like 100-degree days for all of summer.
Yep, I can speak from experience because
Oh, cool.
yeah, I lived in Colorado
I had no idea.
as a
I
kid. It was when I was like up until the age of from the ages of like 4 to 9, I think I lived there. Um, and yeah, I guess like I didn't realize how hot it was or something for summer, but like yeah, it definitely was. But the winters were insane too. Like
Mhm.
snow, so much snow that like the classic like you open your front door and it's just white. You know.
Yeah. I sometimes think that about Maine because
Yeah.
like if we got the same, like I'm in Massachusetts, but if I got the same snowstorm as friends in Maine, they'd get like an extra 6 inches.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. I we haven't had like too many like really out of control snowstorms. I mean, at least not in the 10 years I've been up here. Like but it's more just like persistent.
Hmm.
I guess. Um, but yeah, no, like yeah, I think there have been times where we've gotten maybe like a foot at a time or something. But
Yeah, it's
which
been
what? Yeah, sorry.
no, it's fine. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's been a bit of a it's been get there have been some warm winters.
Yeah, yeah, some weirdly warm ones. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a joke I make a lot, but like climate change is gonna make black metal extinct. What do you agree or disagree?
um, I think I disagree, but I think that's really funny.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess it would become more of like a myth.
yeah,
Someone brought
yeah,
that up and I'm like, yeah, okay, you're right. But I still like my joke.
yeah. I like the joke too. I think people will just find another way to make it. Who knows? Maybe it actually would be different. Maybe it would just be more like I don't know. Would it just turn into like industrial black metal because we're all living in like
It's all a Runcie
indoor.
Pazuzu.
Yeah, yeah, a whole world of that. Because
You know what? I'm gonna drive. I gotta like drive a diesel truck now. I'm bringing it on.
yeah, yeah, we need it. Start, burning tires and yeah,
Yeah,
get big trucks.
yeah. So one note I had in here, you were I guess like the one bit of trivia that always gets repeated about you is that you were almost in Woods v. Prey until the tragic death of David Gold.
Yes.
Do you have any comments on that?
Um, yeah, so that was the end of 2011, yeah, and it all happened really quickly. I mean, the whole process, because I had met them earlier that year. Was a Vibray played at Ralph's, and we got the opening slot for them. So we got to open for Woods, which we were super psyched on. Um, David, and then the other guitarist at the time, Joel. He was the final other guitarist in the band. He's still a very good friend of mine and collaborator. But
We had a minor technical issue here. On with the show. You
yeah,
were talking about playing with Woods of Eve Prey at Ralph's originally.
yes, yes. So yeah, I can just pick up from there. So
Hmm.
yeah, we played with them. It was actually pretty cool because they were touring the Green album, and the show was
Uh,
on the St. Patrick's Day.
that's so good.
So everything was very, very green. They even had the green beer going around, of course, at the bar. And yeah, so they really liked us, and of course, I was already a fan of them, and we talked a little bit and kind of linked up online after that, and like didn't talk much, but kind of like here and there, comment on each other's stuff, that kind of thing, and then David made a post about you know needing the band needed a new drummer and bass player. And I saw the post and I was just like, oh shit, because I'm a bass player first. Like, so I'm more
Mhm.
of a bass player than a guitarist.
Oh,
And
interesting.
yeah. And so I just started talking to him and we talked it out. And yeah, and then he's like, okay, so, you got the gig. And yeah, we're going to start rehearsing in January and we're going to fly out to the UK and we're going to play some shows up there. And then we're going to shoot a video. And then we're going to like do a tour of Europe with maybe some really big bands. And, it's just like very quickly, like, okay, you're in the loop. And um, the news was kind of coming as it did. And like the mixes of the last album were coming, I mean, like I was getting them emailed to me, like version 1, version 2, version 3 of like the mixes of the album and then the mastered version and everything. It was really interesting to hear that progression. Um, and then, yeah, it was just crazy because I think it was like the first week of January that me and the drummer were going to drive up there and meet up with David and rehearse at his house for a couple weeks. But yeah, then obviously
Mhm.
the accident happened. Yeah, literally, I think 2 weeks before I was going to leave.
Yeah, I always felt bad for you and the drummer and
Yeah,
Ray.
Ray. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Immortal Bird. What's did you like work with them in any large capacity, or is it just like you were gonna meet up and then all that happened?
As far as Woods goes,
Yeah.
so yeah, so obviously like Woods ended after
Hmm.
that because at that point the band was only David and Joel,
Yeah.
but Joel had so he told me about the side project like the night that we met, at
Hmm.
St. Patrick's Day. It's like, oh, I also got this like more kind of raw, heavy kind of folky black metal thing I'm doing called Blatt. And
Hmm.
like David Gold played drums on the first release, and I was like, this stuff is fucking awesome, man. And
Hmm.
anyway, so we kept talking after David died, and then he's like, well, I here's an idea. What if you and Ray like join Blatt and we get to play music together that way? And so I was like, hell, that sounds really, really cool. And I had to like, audition naturally. So he sent me some tracks and I was like, okay, this is what I would do on bass, like to this song. And he's like, and he liked it. So yeah. So then I was on Wander on the Continent of Saplings, which he wrote like basically in the recovery period of that whole thing, right?
Hmm.
And then Metacathonia. And yeah, we just did a live thing together, live release in 2019, and I'm actually going to be talking to him in a couple of days and
Oh,
about
cool.
about hopefully the next the next album. So yeah, great friend, and that was a great thing to come out of it. I think with the friendships, and yeah, no, Immortal Bird is also really really awesome. Ray did really well for herself as far as keeping momentum and um, playing with other bands, and really
Hmm.
just grinding grinding it out. And yeah,
Yeah,
they have a great sound.
yeah, their album last year was really good. I think it was like my top 25.
Nice.
Yeah. But you also have a new album coming out with Obsidian Tongue.
Hmm.
Um, so that's coming out May 30th, right?
Yeah,
What would you like to say about that?
we are probably more happy with the end product right away, than with any previous album. I think just because I don't know, everything just kind of worked out perfectly. It sounds perfect. The artwork came out great. The music, I don't know, it's kind of funny because we were kind of grinding at it for a longer period of time, just in little increments. And then when we finally put it together, it was sort of already old in a way. Um, to me, especially, I was just like, is this even good anymore? I'm not even sure. But once we brought it to the studio and did all the final layering and got the mix and master, it was like totally refreshing. And it was just like, wow, I think this is actually maybe the most concise record, I suppose, that we've done. Um, but it's also kind of an extension of like the extremes too, because our heaviest stuff is on the new album, our heaviest moments, but also somehow the progressive rock influence kind of seamlessly melded its way into the entire thing.
Oh,
You know,
nice.
it's we the mission was always to try to create a sound and a feeling that wasn't like channel surfing, like going from one style back to black metal, and then
Hmm.
it's like one single thing. All of our musical interests like blended together. So it's kind of trippy, it's kind of proggy, but it's still pretty brutal and pretty cold. And you know, uh, so we think that it congealed really well, I guess is my point, and we're really happy about it coming out. This is our first record with Profound Lore,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, that's a good. They've had some really good releases this year, like on that label.
Hmm.
Like, like, I guess like on the opposite side of the spectrum, Pissgrave. I'm really
Oh
much
yeah,
into Pissgrave, and my dearest massholes, Ancient Death.
yeah. I was pleasantly surprised to see another mass band was on there. I think maybe I've met one or two. I'm not sure. Like I looked at the pictures and I'm like, do I know any of these guys? And it's like I might,
No, I
you
had to do
know.
the same thing, and I'm like, maybe not them. But
Yeah,
they made some damn fine death metal.
yeah. It's
Like,
really really good.
yeah, that also got the prog influences in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's actually I'm remembering now. I think one of them was in a band forever ago called Soul Annihilation.
that
Am I
sounds a
remember?
little familiar.
I I if I'm remembering that correctly, they were a band that I only saw once, but they were fucking unhinged. But they were so good. It was like a trio, and a little more of a black metal edge, but still death metal. And yeah, kind of like this weird underlying, almost like an implied psychedelia that kind of, yeah, really worked. I thought they were great, but I only saw them once, and I didn't hear about them again. But maybe that's just because I don't keep up very well. But
Yeah,
yeah, if yeah, but Ancient Death is also great, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were some similar members or something. Because I think that's what I read, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. So just briefly, like you mentioned at the beginning, like you have a background in prog rock. Was that being in any bands, or were you just like really interested in the style, or both?
Both, and it's great that you interviewed Jim Burden from A Bad in Booking recently.
Aw, yeah. No, he was great to talk to.
Yeah, I just I thought that was awesome that you had him on it. He really deserves it. So I've known him since I was 18,
Oh,
and the proggy band that I was in was the band that he mentioned in that interview. That's how we kind of started getting more into booking shows. Was he was working with the band and booking all their shows. That was my band.
which band is that again? He
It
mentioned a
was
lot.
yeah. We were called After My Own.
Okay.
There's not a whole lot online for
Yeah.
us, which is funny, but I
I
mean,
might
but
not have been able to link you guys, and like, and I always link to bands mentioned in the description, but if I can't find anything, then well, you do what you can.
right. I think the drummer did put up one of our EPs on Bandcamp. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Maybe not that you have to share the link, but I will give it to you if you're just curious. But yeah, we played a bunch of shows, and yeah, Jim was like our manager guy, and he booked all of our stuff. And yeah, so we we might get together soon, like in the next maybe year or two, and finally like kind of see that project through because we have some unreleased stuff that is a lot better, I think, and stuff that I'm still really proud of. So
Yeah, you're
we'll we'll,
you're all
we'll do
quite a
some
bit
fun.
older now. I
Yeah,
mean, you said
exactly.
18. You look great, but you said 18, and it's just like, it's been a while since I was 18.
Yeah. I've as of this year or the age I'm at now, I'm now 18 times two.
Okay.
So that's funny that I've turned 18 twice.
Yeah. So I guess that is why I work with Jim a lot for booking, because I saw you at Evening of Dark Arts last year. He booked you for the Providence date of your upcoming tour.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought like, oh, he's just a big Obsidian Tongue fan. And like I know he brought you up, but I don't know, there's just enough names in there that it kind of went in one ear out the other.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair. Yeah, no, we've done quite a few shows together, like even like with Obsidian, because he still just really liked doing show stuff, and I don't remember what shows he did back in the day, when the band was getting started, but in recent years, yeah, he facilitated one of our Portland shows because we played with Fires in the Distance.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, you like them? Yeah.
I saw them open for Amorphous. They were really good.
Yeah. Yeah. They are like super epic. I like their music a
Yeah.
lot. And yeah, because Jim was in touch with Ozzy and the Jupiter and Vintergrav, who were doing a tour. So he basically got us out of the shadows of not playing live. And he's like, I got Ozzy and the Jupiter coming on tour. Like, do you want to play with them? And it was like, hell yeah. And it turned into 2 dates. It turned into, Boston and Portland. And we got Fires to do the Portland one. And then C played the Boston one.
That's a who's who of
Yeah.
of podcast alums.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's some lineups I'm sad to miss, but
Right.
yeah, I've seen like, but yeah, you have a tour coming up with Low.
Yeah.
Um, are they like they're the only consistent one like for all the dates, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, if you want to promote the tour.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we're pretty psyched about it. It came together really quickly. Um, and Chris from Woe was super proactive about it, and he is responsible for most of the dates getting confirmed for sure. And yeah, I'm trying to. I don't remember the entire itinerary off the top of my head, but it's called Frailty and Scorn,
Hmm.
and yeah, I think we're playing 8 shows. And in addition to that, I wanted to mention that so the last date of the tour technically is
Hmm.
Providence,
Hmm.
but we were actually playing the next night in Portland. It's technically not part of the tour because Woe's going home.
Hmm.
You know,
It's just you guys. It's you guys and
yep, Insect Arc.
okay. No, they're good.
Yeah, so that should be a pretty
Yeah. No, the Providence date thankfully lines up with my schedule.
oh good.
Um, seeing you in Insect Arc would be pretty great, but Maine is a little far away, and unfortunately, that's when Dragged into Sunlight plays in Providence. You
Oh,
have to compete with them.
that's hilarious actually because as you can imagine, it's been an ongoing.
Yeah.
It was an ongoing battle as we were booking it. I don't want to say battle as if like I mean obviously we didn't like care. It's like it's cool that they're playing out again, but it was like oh we're gonna play here, and then it's just like oh dude no Dragging the Sunlight's in that town on this day. Like we can't. We have to move things around. you know. So we moved around our itinerary a good bit because of that tour, which is fine because the itinerary we have now is great.
Yeah. I guess it works out for New England black metal fans and whatever Dragged into Sunlight is.
Yeah.
Um and I was gonna bring up Mizmor, but then I had to quickly look and I'm like, oh, wrong Portland.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I feel so embarrassed now.
Oh, that's okay. There are too many,
Yeah.
to keep straight. But
I saw like I had a friend who lived in Portland, Maine, and she's like, I hate that everyone thinks it's Oregon.
oh
Like I
yeah.
hate Oregon stealing our thunder. It's just like, yeah, and like I contributed to it because I used to go to Portland, Oregon all the time because I had family out there.
hmm
And I'd be like, I love Portland. She's like, Maine? I'm like, well, but
Yeah.
one day I want to take the trek out to Geno's because like the only time I've ever been to Maine for a concert is at the State Theater, which is a nice place. It's like the
hmm
Palladium but more refined.
Yeah. I love the State Theater. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was like waiting in line and some guys are talking. This was back in 2019. They're like, and Pentagram is gonna play at Geno's. And I'm like, man, they do get some names there.
Yep. Yeah. In recent years, especially, it's like pretty mind blowing. So it's all thanks to one guy, one local guy named John Morse.
Okay.
He's like our booking guy. He really put a lot into building up the heavy scene up here. Not just black metal, of course, like all kinds of metal, and he's really into noise stuff too. So he's got some harsh noise stuff, and uh, he's had Today Is the Day down quite a few times. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, like Pentagram and Yob was the other big
Hmm.
one, like the Yob Voivod tour. I'm like, holy shit, because
I know that
I
he
mean,
got municipal waste like a couple
yeah,
months ago,
hmm
which that's just kind of crazy to me. But for Maine, like
yeah.
it's good to not have to travel down to Boston or Worcester to see shows.
Yep, exactly. It's very good for
Yeah.
the people that are up here. And it kind of works out because I've noticed at least that it seems like like metalheads from New Hampshire and Vermont might be more
Hmm.
happy with scooting over to Maine for a show.
Yeah. Like my one New Hampshire friend that I go to shows with, like if the option can be go to Maine, he's doing that. But it's
Nice.
usually not. So that's why I see him a lot.
Right, right.
Yeah, I
Usually
think
not exactly.
I think in his case he does live decently close to the Maine border, so he's not like in Burlington, Vermont, which
Right.
sounds like you either hope a band remembers that the Stone Church in Burlington exists, or you just have to kind of give up.
Yeah. Oh, the Stone Church in Burlington, New Hampshire is what you're talking about,
Oh,
right?
Vermont.
Okay, but
Uh,
is there
it,
not a Burlington, New Hampshire too? Am I making
you're
that
gonna
up?
make me look this up.
There is a legendary venue in New Hampshire called the Stone Church.
There's a yeah. When I search Burlington, New Hampshire, I guess I just get Burlington Coat Factory
Yeah,
locations.
yeah.
Um,
I'm totally out of my mind with that. But there are so many shared town names
there
in
are.
within all of our states.
Yeah,
To my
no, I have
defense,
the
but
yeah, I now have the New Hampshire map up, and they got Amherst and New Boston.
yeah,
They had to make a Boston too. I don't think that deserved a sequel.
yeah, no. And yeah, like I live in Durham, Maine, and no one knows that there's a Durham, Maine because they only know of Durham, New Hampshire. You know, that kind of thing.
Interesting. I feel like I've heard of Durham, Maine, and it isn't me being creepy about you or anything.
Right. No, I wouldn't think so because I mean I don't
Yeah.
even know.
I don't know, maybe I feel like I knew a guy who knew a guy who was from there or something.
Yeah,
But
it's possible.
yeah,
It's a pretty convenient spot, but
yeah. What are your
just
favorite things about Maine?
um that it's different from Massachusetts, I
I
guess.
mean, that's
I'm I,
fair.
I'm not hating on Mass. I'm from there. I mean, like yeah, I've lived there. I lived there for like better part of 20 years. You know, and my family's still down there and stuff. And I like to visit all the time, but I really needed a change. You know, at a certain point in life, it was kind of like I really need to not live here anymore.
Is it
At least,
that, yeah, is it that Maine is more rural?
um, I guess it is, and it just kind of feels different. I mean, for instance, like I'm parked in Portland right now, and you know,
Okay.
Portland's relatively busy, but
Hmm.
it's nothing compared to Boston. It's almost like a town compared to Boston, right? But um, it's quiet and it's different and it's more peaceful in a certain way, and it's more north, and it's just different. It was just a different vibe that
Hmm.
I really needed. And so my favorite thing about Maine, I guess, are the friends I have up here, like really, really remarkable people. And that's kind of why I ended up moving up, is like being super fucking buds with Falls of Raros guys and, you know, all of the other, all of our other friends that are kind of like around that circle. And, you know, it was just kind of like, I wanted to change. And they're like, man, Maine's cool. You could like move to Maine. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll move to Maine, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, me and my wife moved up here to kind of start our, you know, like our married life together. Well, we were engaged at the time, but you know, we
Hmm.
moved here and then we got married a month later.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Um, do you think I know that you're like stop being all geographical about like how your black metal sounds, but
No.
do you think your musical trajectory would be different if you stayed in Massachusetts?
That's a great question. I am not sure. I'm really not sure. Maybe. Um, but it's hard to say
Yeah.
because, you know, I guess I almost don't, most of the time I don't really realize like what in my actual life is affecting my songwriting when I go to write stuff.
Hmm.
It's because I'm not trying to like, oh, you know, this month was like this, so let me write a song about it or something. Like
You're
I
not
don't.
you're not autobiographical about it.
No, not in the slightest. You know, but like things do influence it subconsciously, I guess. But maybe not even. I really don't know. That's the thing, is it's kind of a mystery, like
Hmm.
the way that music kind of comes about. Like I know that, you know, our previous full length volume three, it came out like, you know, in 2020. That's because it was ridiculously delayed because of a lot of different things, but
Hmm.
super delayed. But like, for instance, all the music on that album was written when I still lived in Mass,
Oh, okay.
except for maybe a couple of changes, you know. So that still represents, I think, like the feeling of the band pretty damn well. And even the some of the stuff that the new album has, I think, is kind of pulled from Mass era demos,
Yeah,
but
you said it was
yeah,
some pretty old stuff that had
yeah,
been knocking around for a while. Well, this is what you
yeah,
implied.
yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, but even like since like Ray joined the band, so basically, once we got our tracking done with Volume 3, and then it was mastered, and it was kind of like, okay, waiting for the release plan, I guess. And in that period of time, I was like, oh, I have some other stuff, by the way. So I think in like 2019 or something, we were already working on what would become Eclipsing Worlds of Scorn.
Hmm.
And yeah, I guess I really don't know, because most of the time, or all the time, like when I am playing or writing or whatever, it's kind of in a room. I mean, it's just in like an isolated room with amps and a recorder, and it's really kind of just about the interaction with the instrument, I guess, and what comes out of it.
It's just like being
So
in front of a computer, I guess.
yeah, perhaps.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess these days it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So like after the album release and tour, any future plans you're thinking of, or are you taking things slower with Obsidian Tongue?
No, no, we're definitely trying to pick things up, because I think it's
Okay.
long over. It's really long overdue. We really need to kind of catch the world up, I think, with what we've been doing, because we have. I'm not sure how we faded into quite the level of obscurity that we did in the past few years, but we really want to get out of it, and we've been active the whole time. We have
Yeah.
been with jamming. I'm always writing. We're always talking about stuff, and we're refining pieces, and like, yeah, we're constantly going. Like Ray and I kept the fire burning the whole time. So there's a lot of other music still to be released, like a lot actually, but like, obviously one at a time. So hopefully there's going to be we're going to manage to get another EP out, because actually it's not like an official trilogy or triptych, like I've been calling it, but the way that it turned out, in like COVID era / post COVID era, right? Um, the Stoneheart EP,
Mhm.
Eclipsing Worlds of Scorn, and this other EP, kind of we put it all together at the same time and recorded the drums for it all at the same time.
Oh, cool.
So we have another like installment almost to this whole thing, to that we want to finish and put out.
No,
And
that's
then,
exciting.
yep, and then more shows later on in the year as we figure them out, and yeah, hopefully another album next year.
Yeah. Hoping for some interesting lineups because I really regret not seeing Esoteric and you guys.
Yeah, that was a really interesting pairing, but it worked strangely
Yeah.
well. It worked weirdly well, and it was amazing. We were definitely scared, of course, to play with them, but they ended up being great, like
They
really,
get
really
on
nice.
they get on some weird bills.
Yeah.
Like they're joining up with Blood Incantation for a few EU dates, and I'm like, that's indeed a pairing.
That's an interesting one.
But I think it's like the Funeral Doom world is really small, so
Hmm.
you do what you can. Or so I've
Yeah,
heard.
yeah. I think you're right. It seems that way, you know.
Yeah.
But I do love a lot. I do like a lot of that stuff quite a bit. But
Oh yeah.
Esoteric is one of my favorites for sure. If not my favorite, I don't know. But I don't know. I like Thorgathon a lot too.
Once again, thanks to Brendan Hayter for coming on the show. Remember to check out Obsidian Tongue's Eclipsing Worlds of Scorn at the end of May. It's guaranteed to be a good one. And I'll have to revisit my rules about Album of the Year rankings. It's very different when you're also friends with world-class musicians and songwriters, and quite a few of them at that. Regardless, that's an issue for the end of the year. I'm Theo Morgan, and have a good night. Any final words?
I never know what to answer that question with. I just really hope that people take the time to listen to the new album and kind of get something good out of it. And I just, I just really appreciate you having me on. And I'm really excited about things kind of picking up for the band. And yeah, feeling pretty hopeful about it. But yeah, thanks for having me. And
Yeah, and if you see the Falls of Roros guys, tell them I love them.
Okay. All right.
Send them my best wishes. They seem like very nice people.
Yep, they are.
Yeah.
And the drummer, obviously the same drummer.
Yeah.
Both are, so.
If you see Ray, just give him a hug.
Yeah. I can do that.
All right. Cool.